everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. Today we're gonna do a classic video. You cannot go wrong. A good old monthly wrap up. We're gonna do my September wrap up. These are gonna be the books I've read in the month of September. There's no need for me to tell you what the fuck do you mean. It's already October. That's insane. Moving on. I'm very excited for October because it's like spooky season and Halloween. It's just, I love autumn. And today the weather is very autumnal today, very gloomy and grey. I can feel the autumn vibes coming in. I have not read as much as I would have liked in September. I feel I could have read more, but I read a very good book that was so sad that put me in a slump. Sometimes when I read extremely sad books, they put me in a slump, so that's what happened. To be fair, I had 2 5-star books in September, which is so crazy because they were back to back. I was like, what is going on? I haven't had a 5-star book in a while, and then I had 2 back to back. Very excited. That was good. It was good. And to be fair, I started the month with a 5-star book, and it's The Silent Patient. I think it's either a 5-star or 4.5. I really enjoyed this book. It's a thriller. You've read it. Everyone knows it. If you haven't read it, you heard about it. It's a very famous thriller, and I think this would be a very perfect like first thriller. I think this is a good like beginner. I've never read a thriller before, and I think this is the right time. Autumn is the time for thrillers. This book talks about a silent patient called Alicia. Alicia has been silent for 6 years now. She is in an institute, and she is there because she was considered not mentally healthy, not mentally sane, because 6 years ago she shot her husband in the face multiple times, and since then she hasn't spoken a word. She hasn't said anything ever. She's been silent the whole time, and it was a pretty famous case because she was a famous painter and he was a famous photographer, the husband that died. This guy, the main guy in this book, called, what's his name? Why do I forget names so much? Theo. And Theo is a psychotherapist, and he's so fascinated by this case because it was very famous. Obviously then people stopped talking about it because it's been 6 years and she hasn't spoken since. And he thought, I can help her. I can do this. I can help her. I can help her to get back to her feet and speak and know what happened, what really happened that night. So he decides to apply for a job at the institute she is in, and he gets the job. Now Theo is Alicia's psychotherapist. It's all about finding out what really happened that night, and it's so interesting because there's a big plot twist that I kind of saw coming, but I still enjoyed. I didn't see it coming straight away. I saw it coming as we were going on. I was like, but it was still incredible. I think it was so well written. It was so fast paced, and it gets you immediately. Like on chapter 1, I was hooked, which I think is fundamental in a thriller. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the plot twist. It was great. Slowly you got to know more and more from the past because Theo finds a diary that Alicia's used to keep, and so he gets to read what was happening the weeks leading to that night, and it's so interesting. It's so good. Great plot twist. If you've never read a thriller before, I think this is a great first thriller. I am not like an expert in thrillers. I like them, but I don't read as many thrillers as I do in romance and fantasy, but this really got me and I really enjoyed it. I made my mum read it and she's reading it right now, and I think she's gonna finish it today. So I know I'm gonna get a call and be like, what? And I'll be like, I know. So I'm excited for that. This is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Still don't know. I was skeptical at first because I'm that girl that is skeptical when a book is written by a man, but this was great. If you haven't read it yet, which I doubt it because everyone has, strongly recommend. The next book I read this month was The Nightingale. If you have read this, you know this was the heartbreaking one. This was a 5-star, no doubt. You know how it's Silent Patient, I was like, it's either 4.5 or 5. This is a 5-star for me. There was no doubt. This was my book club book actually of the month. It talks about France in the 1940s during the war, the Second World War, and it's about the perspective of 2 sisters. You have an older sister, Vianne, who has a child, and her husband has been called to the front to fight in the war. And then there is Isabel, and Isabel is younger. She's 18 at the beginning of this book, and she's feisty and she has opinions. She's like a Gen Z in the 1940s, you know. She's that woman that she knows she's pretty and she's going to use it as a weapon, and she wants to go and fight and help and be part of this, and she does in the end. So it's two very different paths. I actually made a vlog about this book because I did a video on this channel, and it was about reading popular books from authors I've never read before, and this was one of them, and actually The Silent Patient too, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was heartbreaking and so sad, and you'll see in that video I cried my eyes out, and it was so funny now watching it back, but at the time it was not funny. It's so well written. At first the pace of the book was quite slow, the first like I'd say 50 pages, and then it gets quick all of a sudden, and that's exactly how it happened in the war. So like it was perfect representation, like the writing style of like how it happened, how it felt for the characters. It's heartbreaking, it's beautiful, the two different paths and how both of these women helped in the war in completely different ways. It was my first book by Kristen Hanna. I will definitely be reading more from her. It was just so tragic at times. Vianne's best friend was a Jew, so there's that dynamic of like, what do? You help and you lie and you put your own child at risk, or you betray your friend. Like there were so many different dynamics. There was the Isabel at one point leaves home. She was living with her sister. She leaves home because she's like, I will put you in danger because I can't shut up. I cannot speak my truth and say what I think, and that will put you and Sophie's Vianne's daughter in danger. So there's so many different dynamics. There's the dynamics of relationships and friendships and obviously family and their dynamic with their dad. It's so layered. It's so sad because obviously war is sad, but it makes you think about what's happening right now as well. So it's crazy, heartbreaking and sad and beautiful. So I would read this when you're mentally stable. If you're looking for like a upbeat fun book, this is not for you, but I strongly recommend. It's like Babel. I think everyone should read it, but at your own risk. The next book I read was Mile High by Liz Tomford, and it was my first ever Liz Tomford book as well. It's very big for a romance book, I'm not gonna lie. It's way too long. 580 pages is a touch too long for a romance book, but I really enjoyed the plot of it. I thought it was too long, to be fair. I gave it, I think, 3.5 stars. It was okay, it was good, it was fun. I'm really excited to read the second, but I'll get to that later. This is a hockey romance, kind of enemies to lovers, but it's not really enemies to lovers. She is the flight attendant to the private jet of this hockey team, and he's like the bad boy. He has a reputation of being a bad boy, of sleeping with different girls every night, of going out and partying and being, you know, not nice and getting into fights. He's got that reputation. The guy is called Xanders, and this reputation that he has, it's a bit fake. He's putting it out because that's what his agent is telling him to do, because that's what it sells. Yes, because in hockey you have to have talent, but apparently you have to be wanted. I guess it's like Formula 1 a little bit. You have to bring in sponsors and money, and this reputation of his did do that. So his agent was like, you have to keep this fake thing up. You have to keep up this reputation that you out and sleep with different girls and party and get into fights. That's what you have to do. Stevie is a lovely girl. She's very nice, but she's feisty. She can talk back. She's doing her job, you know, she's a flight attendant. That's her new job. She's never done this before for this hockey team. She's done it for a basketball team because her brother, her twin brother actually, is a very famous basketball player. And that's what the second book is going to be all about. And I can't wait because actually I don't care about them as much as I will care about them. I know that. It's kind of like forbidden romance because they can date. They cannot be in a relationship because she will lose her job and he will lose his reputation. It talks about many different topics. It talks about anxiety. It talks about going to therapy because Xanders had to go to years and years of therapy, body shaming and body dysmorphia because Stevie is very self-conscious at times of what she looks like because she grew up with a mother who wasn't the best for her in that aspect. So she's really working on being, you know, confident in your own body, but you know, she, obviously like everyone at times she's she loses her confidence. And to be fair, Xander's was very good to keep her confidence up. He was great in that department. I just didn't love how long it was. I just think it got on for way too long. I really enjoyed both characters and their couple was cute. It's very spicy, and I think that as well didn't, I was like, wrap it up. I don't need to read about this once again, like, we get it. But it was just way too long. There could have been a couple of things cut and nothing would have changed. But it was very nice. It was a nice book. It was a nice thing after The Nightingale. I needed silly, you know? And this was fun and cute. The second book is going to be about her best friend and her twin brother. And that's all I care about. Really, that's all I care about. And I think I'm going to read it next. I know that's going to be fake dating and forced proximity. And that sounds like exactly what I need. So I give it 3.5 stars. I can see why people really love the series because it's interconnected standalones. Interconnected sport romances, you will never not find me there. I will be there every single time. I love them. Next book I read was Great and Precious Things by Rebecca Yarros. I had never read anything but Fourth Wing and Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, and I know people say that her romances are heartbreaking. I really want to read The Last Letter. Is that the one? This is a romance novel. It's not really a like it has romance, but romance wasn't the main plot, which I love so much. Our main characters are Camden and Willow. Camden just came back from the war. There was a war theme this month. Camden just came back from the war and he was serving in the war for almost a decade, and 6 years ago he lost his younger brother in war, and he was there and he saw it happen, and he feels kind of guilty for what happened, even though technically he's not. But one of his decisions led to the fact that his younger brother was there and he passed away. He comes back home to this little town called Alba, small little town where everyone gossips and everyone talks. Classic. And he comes back because his dad has Alzheimer's and he needs no help. He sees once again Willow, and Willow is actually his younger brother that died in the war 6 years ago girlfriend. She is a lovely girl, just nice, very smart, very funny, very joyous, very sunshiny, and he's very grumpy. He's quite mad at the world and he hates everyone but her, but he acts like he hates her too. So she actually did think he hated her because he wasn't nice to her, but it's because he's always been really pretty much in love with her. And that's one of the tropes I really dislike. Childhood friends to lovers, I don't like. But this one, I really did enjoy. I thought it was great because they kind of went from childhood friends to enemies to lovers, I guess. And it was pretty much forbidden romance because everyone in town was judging them for being together because she was with his brother that died in the war, and everyone in the town thinks it's Camden's fault he died. So there's that dynamic. There's a very difficult situation for him back home. He hasn't got a good relationship with his dad, and his brother is a bit iffy at the moment. It talks about important topics. It talks about loss and grief and choices that you have to make. It's a very emotional book. I didn't cry, but it's an emotional read. Like, it's deep, talks about important topics. And I really enjoyed the romance, and I enjoyed their relationship and how much they knew each other. There was a plot twist that I really enjoyed. So I really enjoyed it. And I think the writing style, you can't go wrong. I enjoyed Fourth Wing. I know some people didn't. I really did. I loved Fourth Wing. I loved the writing of Fourth Wing. So I knew I would like her writing. But I think the thing that she's very good at is characters. She's so good at making layered characters. They are not just one dimension. There's so much more to them. As you get to know them, you'll find out more and more. And I think this is exactly what happened in this one. You get to know these characters so much as you go on, and it gets more and more interesting, and you get to care about them and their families so much more. And it's obviously small town romances have that feel of like family and found family and everyone that you meet. But for them, it was kind of like the opposite because the town was against them being together, and then obviously things evolve and change. It was just very easy to read. It was quick, like the chapters weren't too long, so I got through it quite quickly. I love that the romance wasn't the main plot. It wasn't just a rom-com. This is not a rom-com. It's more like a novel with romance. Do you know what I mean? As I get older, rom-coms, they lose their appeal because they have such low stakes. I feel like this one had higher stakes. For being a romance novel, it had high stakes, and I really enjoyed that. I'm halfway through the Paris apartment. I can't tell you much about it because I'm only halfway through. But so far I think it's fun. I'm not really into it. It didn't get me immediately, but hopefully it will. So I think this is it. So I know it's not a lot, but you know, the Nightingale put me in a slump. I didn't want to read anything for a good 4 or 5 days. I just didn't want to. This is a short, quick video, but we need them sometimes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always. I love you. Ciao.